Credit card debt is increasing and delinquencies are on the rise. Find out more on this edition of the Video Market Update. So a new report from the New York Federal Reserve has highlighted the increased amount of credit card debt currently held by American consumers. So currently there's over $1.1 trillion of outstanding credit card debt held by the American people. That's a $129 billion increase from this same time last year. And this is the highest on record that we have data on to show the amount of credit card debt. A couple other interesting nuggets that came out of this. 1 in 5, so 20%, 1 in 5 households currently are in a situation where they consider themselves, or by definition, are maxed out, meaning that they have used 90% or more of the available credit. That number, if you break it down, for the baby boom generation is about 5%. But for younger and lower income Americans, that number is much higher than the 5% that the baby boom is currently sitting at. About 9% of all of that debt is now considered to be delinquent, which is a very scary thought. Now we look and say, because of interest rates, the average rate on these credit cards is about 20%. And so you could say, well, what's the cause and effect? Well, you could say it's all due to inflation. It's all due to the increase in pricing, or it's due to, because interest rates are higher and the interest rate is higher, it's harder for people to be able to pay anything other than just the principal amount to really touch that interest every month. Or people are making minimum payments. It could also be that people are using it to cover just the daily necessities, but there are certainly people who are using it to buy a lot of consumer debt, a lot of things maybe they don't need, but they want. And so when we look at the amount of credit card debt, it is certainly alarming. And so what we have to look at is, what are the ways, if you are currently suffering or struggling with this, how do we get out of it? Well, one is to put the card back in the drawer if you can. For many people who are using it to just cover the necessities of life, that's a scary proposition. But for those who are buying things maybe they don't need, or luxuries, it may be worth doing what they used to do in the old days, which is just save up for those. We're actually seeing consumers start to pull back on big ticket items like car purchases and mattress purchases and other things where Americans are saying, maybe I'll just hold off. And just this week, Target announced that they're cutting prices on over 5,000 frequently purchased items to try to stay competitive as consumers are starting to pull back. So if you're not one of the 1 in 20 or 1 in 5 that are struggling with a super heavy debt load on your credit card, that is wonderful. Let's do everything we can to stay out of it. If you're currently in that situation, it's time to probably work through that while the economy is booming, while hiring is good, while the stock market's up, because if we can get that under control and then prepare for when times maybe aren't as good, you'll be grateful that you don't have all that credit card debt. So that's just a new report I saw in the news I thought was interesting. If you have any questions on this or anything you're seeing in the news, let me know. But if not, as always, I hope you make it a great week.